This is footage we were able to obtain about 2 years ago in the spring of 2012 when we very first began investigating this site and really starting to understand what a unique ecology exists here in the boilers. As the camera swings around, one of the things that's notable is that you can see how crystal clear the water is. It actually makes it look a lot more shallow than it is, but it's just because it's so easy to see the bottom there. You can notice the white sand and the moss growing. Then as we duck underneath the water here, you can actually see that boiling action that's occurring as the water rises up in channels through the sandy bottom. This is our favorite part, of course, the colorful residents that live in the boilers. Some of them are a little more willing to come out and smile for the camera than others. These are taken underneath the raspberry and blackberry brambles that grow on the north side. While the tropical fish populations that live here amazingly in the middle of the desert are pretty happy and healthy at this point, it was also obvious that there were problems with the site beforehand, which is obviously why they were fenced off in the first place. You can see the trash, the debris, people backing their cars up and just dumping things, as well as a fair amount of construction debris and dumping that was taking place. The surrounding property has actually been up for commercial sale for quite some time, and the regrading of that property has created some issues in and of itself. Whenever it rains, there's heavy clay and sediments that get washed into the water source of the boilers, not to mention what comes off of the freeway into those water sources. Last July, we had some very heavy flash flooding that came in, and the water itself has been so murky that you can't even see through it until very recently. Also, a couple of months ago, we had a fire that was started. As you can see, a lot of the plant life was damaged, further creating problems whenever it rains because you don't have that retention on the sides of the banks. And you can see there the water's really murky. In fact, as recently as 2 weeks ago, we really couldn't capture any images where you could distinguish anything underwater, but it is beginning to clear now, and while we still see problems with people dumping trash and polluting the area that way, we are starting to see some level of recovery. It's a little harder to find fish in the boilers today, but we can see that they are still there. Maybe just not quite as obvious, and maybe not in the numbers that we were able to see before. We were, however, really lucky to get a shot of one of the tropical turtles. They're typically very shy and hide as soon as they hear you coming through the fence. But this little guy was able to swim up and posed really nicely for the camera, and it was fun to see him in action. Just this week, Washington City has re-secured the boilers by changing the locks on the gates and mending holes in the fences, so hopefully that will cut down on the trash that is obvious, but we hope that they will also continue to work together as a community on a site remediation plan that will help restore the purity and clarity of the water and help these very unique fish populations.